to Leading the Pack, the Show Safe podcast, hosted by myself, Lydia Fry.
And myself, Octavia Stenson.
I am one of your hosts, Lydia Fry. I've been showing dogs for 15 years. I am a graduate of High Point University. I breed pointers, and I also breed Bedlington Terriers and Standard Schnauzers.
A soon-to-be senior in college, pursuing a major in Chinese language and culture. And I own and breed Norwegian Bullhuns with a group winner living in my house. I have been an active participant in junior showmanship and confirmation, and I currently work for a handler while pursuing my degree in college.
And today we are going to be speaking to Anna Gracie. Anna is a second-generation dog fancier, most known for her bearded collies. Anna has shown in juniors, grown up in the sport, and now works at the Westminster Kennel Club on top of being an active dog person and all-around great person. So, welcome, Anna. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thanks, ladies, for having me. This is going to be fun. So excited today.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. It's great to virtually talk to you. I know we've had lots of conversations in person over the years, so it's always great to catch up with you. Anna, why don't you tell us about, your earliest memories in dogs, how you kind of began showing dogs, all of that. We want to know all about you.
Absolutely. Well, I guess I've been in the dog show ring since before I was born. My mom was running around very, very pregnant with me, probably about 2 months before I was even brought into this world, showing bearded collies. So I guess I didn't have much of a choice to end up in this sport, but I've always been at dog shows, from itty bit to showing in PV for the first time at a Beardy National up in Canada, to doing juniors, to working for people, to doing a little side contract job with AKC, running their Snapchat for a summer, to now working at Westminster. So I've kind of done all different levels of dog show, plus have put some herding titles on some dogs, agility titles on some dogs, rally, obedience I was always terrible at and couldn't focus long enough. So obedience we still have to work on at some point, but until then. That's awesome. Well, Anna, I know that you went to college, so I'd love to hear a little bit more about your experiences in college while also juggling dog shows and assisting, and also your experience in high school and your involvement in junior showmanship as well. Absolutely. I guess I'll start with high school first, since that came first. I went to Performing Arts High School in college where I studied music, and that was kind of my first job. My dad said that school comes first, your grades come first. That's most important. If you want to do, dog shows on the side, if you want to do juniors, sounds great, but school and grades come first. So I guess going to Performing Arts High School kind of helped with that because it was so intensive. Like I was learning music, playing piano. I took some dance lessons, taking acting lessons, private voice lessons, the whole kit and caboodle there. So I really had to hone in on that first since it was so intensive. So it kind of, I wouldn't say it hindered my junior career, but it definitely kept me from doing as many dog shows as possible. But even that being said, on the summers, during summertime or even the weekends, I was working for people. The first people I ever worked for were Terry Jennings, who has Shelties and now Havanese, and Fairby Simmons, who has Pembroke Welsh Corgis. And then when I was transferring to high school to college, I did work for Clifford Steele because he was the go-to bearded collie guy. And I'm like, I have to go work for him. Then, Clifford. And then for college, I moved out of state. I moved to New Jersey, went to Fairleigh Dickinson University in Madison, New Jersey, where I got a BA in musical theater. I have a dance minor degree. I have a British histories minor degree. I have a digital marketing degree, digital marketing minor piece of that. I studied abroad. I was part of a sorority. I volunteered. I dove into college. I loved it. All the while, even on my summers, once again, I worked for people. I started off working for Cliffy, like I had mentioned, and then I went and worked for Katie. Well, then Katie Shepherd and Alexis Ditlow, and then it turned into Katie, Lexi, and Adam, and then Katie and Adam, and then Lexi. So it's kind of always working for people while also doing college. But again, I really, kind of dove into everything. I'm not really sure how I had time to do everything, but I'm proud to say I, graduated pretty high in my class at the end of everything. And now I'm here working for Westminster. So it's kind of been a crazy balancing act, to say the least, of dog shows, life, and career, school, everything.
So awesome how you get on the other side of it all and you're like, I don't even know what I'm going to do with all this. And then you still
Yeah.
come back to your roots at the end of it all. It's amazing how impactful, you know, dog shows can be, especially in your youth, and how we always end up returning to it in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always there for you. That's the nice thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So what a cool evolution just between working locally to kind of expanding your horizons, all while still just deep diving into personal interests and all of that. So obviously you've had some great bosses, we'll call them mentors, teachers over the years. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? How did you get into finding these people? Obviously you talked about working for Cliff Steele. I remember he was Mr. Bearded Collie, and obviously Katie has shown many top bearded collies as well. So obviously you've stayed a little bit to your breed roots and kind of stuck to that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and your interest in not only your breed and finding people who support that, but also could expand your horizons, as are also great handlers of other great breeds as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I guess I'd be remiss without saying, my mother was definitely my first ever boss, Lucy Campbell. Growing up in a household of anywhere from, I don't know, 6 to 13 bearded collies, that came first. She was my first teacher, my first mentor, my first boss. Honestly, when my first group of women that I worked for, as I mentioned, was Terry Jennings and Fairby Simmons. I mean, they were friends of my mom's. They didn't carry a lot of dogs, but they had honestly so much fun every weekend. Like, it was a total gal pal group. Looking back on it, that's kind of the theme that I've taken forward through my dog show career. I actually approached Clifford. I must have been like 14 or 15. And, I loved how he showed his beardies. I loved how he groomed them. I loved how he put them together. This is way before he even had Roy. I think this was like, forget what the dog's name was, but I went up to him like, do you ever have assistants? Like, could I work for you one summer? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Having at least one breed that I knew I had, at least at that time at 15, pretty down packed, which I've now learned I didn't. Definitely a confidence booster to then go ask someone that knew that breed even more. I learned so much about bearded collies from Clifford, and he really empowered me in that space to like groom the beardy to finish. Like, I always was working on the beardy special, while sometimes he had other people working for him and they would do the other dogs. Like, I always had the beardy because he trusted me, and I felt such pride. And yeah, like, he was like advocacy, I guess, even from him itself, it was like the best thing. And as I got to college, I forget, I think I was down in North Carolina, and I saw Katie Shepherd and Alexis Ditlow like running around, and they like handed me a dog because they needed help. And I'm like, I knew these women growing up because we were always in the same circle. I knew who they used to work for at Andrew Doyle, because he had shown my mom's beardies. I'm like, who are these girls? Like, and then I started watching. I'm like, wow, like, they're really great, and they're having so much fun, and they just look like they're having a ball. So I once again just went up to them and was like, hey, do you guys ever have assistants? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, could I like kind of work for you? And they're like, that's how I remember the story. It would be so much fun to ask them like how they remembered things. But it was just like the theme of saw people in my breed. I saw people that I loved how they showed. I saw people that were just having fun. Like, at the end of the day, they would go like hang out or have dinner or be, putting their makeup on together, like the fun aspect of it. And that's just what I gravitated towards because that's what I grew up with, right? Like my mom and I went to dog shows because it was fun. So I started working for people that I thought it would be fun to work for. Not only could I learn from them, but it would also be a great experience.
I just have to applaud you on your almost, I would say, bravery for just going up to people because I know that is such a hard thing for juniors. Like you just being like, "Hey, do you have assistants and can I be one of them?" Like that's so awesome, and I think that's something that we maybe don't see as much now, especially in the younger generations of being like, "Oh, I'm just gonna stalk them on Facebook for a year, and maybe someday they'll need an assistant, and I'll be standing right there and." It'll work out perfectly.
I was terrified to ask. Like, don't get me wrong, totally terrified. Half the time my mother was behind me, making sure I actually followed through on the act. I wanted to, and they just seemed like they could be at the very least really good friends if it ended up not working out. And once again, that it would just be fun to do, like I think that's what helped me with the bravery part, just to go up and ask. It's like, it would just be like fun to hang out. And if I can like learn stuff, that makes it even more fun.
Yeah. And I mean, like, what's the worst, the worst thing they can say is, no, I don't need an assistant right now. Or no, I'm not looking for one. Like it really, like kids think that like rejection, and I know this because I'm pretty close in generation to the most of the kids that are showing juniors right now, is like they think that rejection is close to death. And it's like they're just gonna say no and then you'll move on with your life. Like, or they say yes, which is the more likely of the two, and then amazing things will happen. But like there's this like hold back of like I couldn't possibly ask them. That's so scary. Like I couldn't do that. And it's just like if you wanted to, you would.
I guess like the fun thing is that I would say 98% of the people that if you walked up to them and said, "Hey, could I learn from you? Can I work for you?" They will say yes.
Absolutely.
Like, will say yes to whatever degree of knowledge that they can give you at that time. Maybe it's just like, "Hey, yes, come live and be a full-time assistant," or "Hey, come on the weekends," or "Hey, I actually just need help today." Or even maybe someone might just say,
Or
"Hey, in my setup, hang out in my setup." Like just talk dogs with me for a second. So I mean, there's that 1.1% might say no because of whatever reason or whatever is going on, but I have yet to encounter so far in my life, whether it's in my college life, my high school life, my dog show life, in my career, if you go up to people and ask a question, 9 times out of the 10, they will be open to you asking questions and want to teach you. I think it's way more encouraging than sometimes people think. And we get in our own way in that aspect of like, well, I can't ask. It's like, you can, because if they're a good person and if they're,
no, or whatever, maybe that was what needed to happen. And maybe that's for the best. Like, I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times that like, I mean, I work for Andy Linton, and like the amount of times that people are like, "Oh, I couldn't possibly talk to him." And I'm like, if you just ask him, like all you have to do is ask. Like all these people, if you ask them, there is very few people whose egos are so large. I couldn't even name one that would say no to anything of that sort. Like people are so humbled, even, like the most famous of famous dog people, like are still humbled when asked a simple question by somebody who doesn't know anything. And they're like, "Oh, you want to ask me?" Like, okay, I'll tell you something. Like, and it's just like, it's crazy. Like we're all human and we put these people on a pedestal, and that's okay. But they are human just like us, and they are still just as appreciative of a question as we are for the answer. I think it's just,
I couldn't agree more with you on that aspect.
yeah, I wish that more juniors would find that courage to just I know it's hard. I've been there and done that, but the worst thing they can say is no, and the best thing they can do is give you everything. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to see more juniors asking questions and finding mentors and learning just from anybody really at this point.
I mean, that's the thing. And I think it's, I feel like I see a lot on social media or in reports or in publications about how, like kids don't want to work, or we can't find assistants, or no one wants to do this, or no one wants to do that. I think we might need to start looking at dog shows slightly different, because dog shows have changed within the last 20 years that I've been involved and been cognizant of it. Like juniors has changed so much, even when, Lydia and I were in juniors together. So it's like, as long as you're willing to learn, I think you don't have to be the hardcore 110% 365 assistant. Like, maybe just go learn for a day. Maybe go learn for a weekend. Or if you can do a summer, great. If you can be a live-in, great. I think there's a lot more flexibility in the type of young person learning in this sport than I think we talk about. And I think dog shows in a whole, like, kind of needs to change how they talk about finding assistants. Like, a day assistant's great. They're learning. They're a part of it. They want to be a part of it. They want to learn that day. And maybe they'll come back. Or maybe they might go learn from someone else on Sunday. I think that gets overlooked sometimes. And I think that's something that we need to change, how we talk about the fact that, like, kids don't want to work. Like, there are kids working. There are kids that want to work.
And
so,
you're like manifesting it too. You're manifesting the kids don't want to work by putting it out there. Like, nobody wants to work. It's like, then what do you think's going to happen? Nobody's going to work.
And then it just hurts. I mean, it just hurts the people that are working, right?
Yeah. Like, what about me? Who am I then?
I'm like, what am I, chopped liver? Like, wait, I'm
a young person working. What am I not? Do I not want to work? I didn't know that about myself. Like, you're like, I'm learning new things all the time.
I think now too, like you said, Anna, like with social media, like things have changed so much since we were in juniors, we'll say, and like looking for work. Like before, you only saw people that were in your area or at the shows you went to that were maybe looking for work, and it was only by maybe word of mouth. I know, like, I got my first, what I thought was a really serious assisting job, where I would very seriously go out on the weekends, and I would then live with them for weeks at a time, working for Zach and Heather Helmer. And it was because Heather had made a Facebook post that they were looking for an assistant for the 2 weekends of the Richmond, Virginia shows back when they were at the Raceway. I think with that too, now there's like a whole Facebook group where handlers post of like looking for assistance or looking for help. And I think that obviously not every parent is going to be okay with their kids going away and staying with strangers for 2 weeks at a time. But if they're fine with their kids going and working during the day, I think that's a great opportunity that can definitely be encouraged and seen. The more we can see it and explore it, all of that, especially if you're in or involved in a breed that kid is involved in, I think all the better, because it's just about encouraging them and seeing what you can teach them, and also just making them feel seen is a lot of it, and making those connections of it.
That art of being seen and feeling seen, I think that, oh man, that carries into life beyond dog shows, let alone being in dog shows. So that's a great point.
Yeah, I remember, like, that was my first weekend ever working for them, and Heather was showing Nathan at the time. And I remember, like, I would show, and Zach was showing the black and tan Moses, and like getting to walk those dogs up ringside with their cooler. Like, I was a kid. I didn't have a driver's license at that point. And I thought that was like the pinnacle of my life, was walking those 2 dogs up to the ring.
Having that sense of like ownership and being empowered. You're being trusted with these animals to do this 100-foot walk from the setup to the ring.
Yeah. Take them out for a walk or whatever. Like those things, like I so vividly remember them still. And I think we all have those moments when, you experience it with great dogs, even if it's a dog in your breed, or like I wasn't involved with those breeds, but I knew who those dogs were. And I was so enamored with them. Like, as you said, like you getting to do the Beardy special for Cliff, like that for you, like that still just remembering that brings you such great pride of like you were a kid and you were in charge of the Beardy, because like that was your thing.
It's the best, and I guess I'll give one other really good Clifford story. It's like, I think I was going to check the ring for him for something, and it was either Cockers or Tibetans. I mean, 2 very different things, but it was something with a lot of coat that I didn't know very well at the time. And he came up beside me, and I'm like watching either cockers or Tibetan terriers, apparently. And he's like, so which one would you put up? And I just remember thinking, as like a 15-year-old, like, what? He's asking my opinion? He's like, you've got eyes. Tell me which one you would put up. And I'm like, well, I guess I kind of like the second one. He's like, well, why do you like the second one? In his very matter-of-fact voice that Clifford has. It's got a really lovely, level top line. I really like the expression on it. I think it's really balanced and it's going around the ring nice. He's like, cool, I would pick that one too. And it was like the simplest moment and the perfect, like, I'll even call it Cliffordism. Just matter of fact, what do you think, Anna? Like, you've got eyes, you know what you're looking at, you know more than you realize you do. Have a little ownership of like how you see things. And it's like he respected me enough. Well, it felt, at least in that moment, like he respected me enough to ask my opinion. I'm like, oh, I guess I can share my opinion, and this is a safe space for me to speak up and say, I think I like this one because of XYZ. Now, if it was a totally ugly one, I'm sure he would tell me, and it'd be a very good learning moment since
He'd be like, maybe I wouldn't do the same thing.
But it's the little things, and I think that gets overlooked a lot of, you don't have to go work 365 with someone. It could be those small 2-minute interactions or walking by an X pen or, spending the weekend with someone that kind of changes your whole mentality of dogs and the sport and whether or not you want to stay involved in it, and what you want to do with it.
Yeah. I mean, we talk about these people who, we put on a pedestal and if they become involved, when we become involved with them, working for them or just learning from them, they become great leaders in our eyes and we have great respect. And when they show respect to us as well, it can form a great partnership, great collaboration where we can, feel like we can work with them. And, it does give that sense of like, I can have a say, not just as a working body, but as a human.
Yes, I'm not just a lowly assistant. Like I actually have a place here. Like I can't tell you the amount of times I've been like, well, I'm just an assistant. Like what, like, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's not that way. And I don't think that way anymore. But like, back when I was younger, I was like, what do I even have? I'm just an assistant. It's like we as assistants play such a valuable role. And Andy actually said this just last weekend, but assistants make or break the handler's job. A good assistant or
Yes.
bad assistant, which there's not very many of those, but like they do really make or break a handler's ability to do their job well as along with the assistant. Like a lot of the times, like I'll give myself a little bit of credit, like assistants do a lot of the heavy lifting and they don't always get seen for that, but being seen, especially by the person you work for, your handler, is like the most valuable feeling I think in the world. And just like being seen, getting told you did a great job today, or thank you for your hard work at the end of the weekend, like that will make you keep going, like more than any handler thinks. Like you don't think about like the positive reinforcement that you give, but when you receive it, it's I can keep going. Like sometimes at the end of the weekend, you're like, I don't know, man. You're still like, that was a hard one, like it's still hard. Like, I gotta keep going and getting that positive reinforcement. It's like, I can continue forward. Like I can still make this happen. Like I have a place here.
Yeah. And just the little things of like, if you're showing a dog, your boss coming to watch you show or something like that, that just means so much to me. And I think that's something that, being recognized and giving people, especially, new people in the sport, young people in the sport, like when you take those couple of minutes out and give them respect, like I always find it really special when I have kids that have dogs from my co-breeders and obviously if they're showing in the breed, I see them at the breed, but if there's not a conflict, I always try and go watch them in juniors. And I don't know why it always surprises me, but they, for the most part, always act surprised when I go to watch them in juniors and I show up and they're like, oh my gosh, you watched? And I'm like, Yeah, I watch, like, of course, and, I give them my opinion or whatever, and sometimes my opinion makes a difference, and sometimes it doesn't, like, it doesn't necessarily need to every time. Not as we all know, not every time when you show in juniors, it's someone's opinion on how you handle. I could be like, "You couldn't have done it any better," especially when you get to big shows like Orlando and stuff like that. You can be like,
Yeah.
"You did perfect, but there's nothing more that I could have done for you."
Yeah.
So I think when we say things like that to them, yeah, it matters what we say, but it's just the really being there that really matters to them. And just the fact that you show up, even if you're like, I couldn't stay for the whole time, but I watched your individual and this is what I thought, like that matters, or you made it for the end of the class or whatever. That 2 minutes that you make it for does make I mean, I remember always meaning a lot, and I see it now when I can do it for kids that we work with or even new people when I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna try and make it to your breed and watch." You know, it matters. Being compassionate matters and showing people respect and all of that. It makes a difference, and it makes people be like, "You know what? Like, it didn't go great, but at least I feel better, or I feel like I learned something from the experience, for me that was worth it, and I'll come back tomorrow and try again." And that's all we can hope for is that they'll keep coming back and trying
Back. Yeah, that they're gonna come back tomorrow or the next week.
literally just come back and try again. As we all know, you can't guarantee anything when it comes to results, but you can certainly hope that they'll be like, well, at least it was positive enough that I'll come back and try it again.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's such a small act that adults can do. I mean, even now, like I was down in Florida and Janice and I were both in the PBTV breed ring, and just knowing that she was there watching and I could like,
Right. You could do it in front of her.
I'm like, okay,
Show her all your hard work.
I've been working on for the last like year-ish since I had this puppy that I bought from you. Like, what do you think? And just, it's a small act of just showing up and being present, that whether you're 12 or you're 31 or you're 55 or however old you are, like
Right.
it means a whole lot.
It does.
Yeah.
It so does. And I think people doing that, even when if it's just their co-owners or their puppy owners or whatever it is. And I think this expands outside of confirmation too, even if it's just the dogs, like, there's a local fast cat or there's a local whatever. Even if you're not showing and it's just a local show or something and you can stop by briefly and see them and see the dogs, it just means a lot to them. That human interaction means so much. Obviously, a ribbon is always going to mean a lot, but when you have that moment with people, that means so much. I mean, there's a reason we will fly to all these places like faraway shows on the other coast just to go, we may be like, well, the judges are okay, but like we really just want to go see people. Like we want to go see our people. I mean, we want to go, show at this cool show and see our people and do this, and like it'll be fun just to get to do that. Like that doesn't make sense because of you wanting a ribbon unless you're campaigning at such a high level. So I would say the 95%, you do that because of the people involved.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know certainly for juniors, like no one goes into a junior final thinking like, I have this, I'm going to win this. And if you do, you're probably not. But you go to, Royal Canin and Westminster and big shows like that because you're like, I've made it all this way here. Like, I want to go see all my friends. Regardless of what happens, I made it here and I'm going to do it. And that I think just means so much to people. Yeah, you've got some great people in your life. Obviously, you co-breed with your mom. You have a dog from Janice. Tell us about, how you find what the youngins would call your people in today's day. Obviously, everyone can put on a great front on social media. But a lot of this, as we've talked about, of finding your people, finding your community, finding people who respect you and value you and have good integrity and, will advocate for you. whenever you need it and will be there for you and show you a safe space to be yourself. I mean, that's what we're really all looking for. What, tell us about how you've discovered that and how you continue to find that.
I wish there was a formula that I could tell you ladies and, tell everyone that's listening, like what to exactly look for. A lot of it is luck of the draw. A lot of it is learning trial by error. And there's also the aspect of just because they're your people when you're 10 doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be your people at 30. You grow and you change and you learn a lot, and you need people that will learn and grow and change with you, or accept every single version of yourself that you've kind of molded yourself into from 5 to 31, as we're talking about myself. But I know, like, when I, work with Lexi, when I work with Katie, when I work for Adam, when I worked for Mark, or when I helped Angie on a weekend, or kind of even like fellow assistants like Jen, Freddie, Joanne, like I always look for people that are a balance of, teacher, advocate, good role model. But probably the biggest thing is that people that I feel like I can ask any question of, whether it's dog related, how to groom dogs, what would you do here? Can you come watch me in the ring? What lead do you think I should use? And never feel like I'm going to be belittled by asking a question. I try to be a super open person. I don't, want to turn anyone away. If they want to talk about beardies, we can talk till the cows come home. If you want to talk to me about PBGVs, I'll be like, look, I'm still learning, but like, here's what I know. Let's call Janice or let's message Janice and like get what she thinks. So really just finding people that are open, that are curious, that want to learn with you, that won't make you feel dumb for asking questions that you might think are dumb, but are usually not dumb. And it's just finding people that lift you up, that are not only like a good friend, but a good role model. And I feel like you can kind of see that from afar of groupings of people, right? Do you see a lot of young people going up to XYZ? Do you see certain types of people going over to learn terriers from this person or learn PBGVs from this person? You can kind of find your way. If you don't find your people right away, you will, because that's kind of the wonderful thing about dog shows is that there are so many different types of people and everyone comes from a different walk of life. It's honestly my favorite part of dog shows is that you've got the whole A to Z, whole different phases. And whether it's dog shows or college or high school or elementary school, middle school, your professional life, learning how to work with different types of people, learning to just say, hey, I don't know the answer to this question. Let me go find a person that will, and maybe they can teach us, is kind of like the best life lesson coming out of dog shows that I've learned of just ask the question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the amount of times I've been like, this might sound really dumb, but I just want to ask it so that it might be so simple and so, ridiculous to somebody who knows the answer, but like, I just need to clarify. Is this right? Am I doing that correctly? Is this what this is supposed to look like? All those really basic questions can be so monumental to somebody who just needs some clarification or who needs a simple answer. I can't tell you the amount of times it's helped me when I've just been like, yes, great. Now I feel so much more confident in myself. Like in that one, like yes or no, like, and then going from there, that changes everything. It's crazy how helpful it can be and how important those people are that do lift you up and make you a better person and make you feel important and also seen, just like we talked about before. It's just those people are monumental.
I wish like you could just have like a cheat sheet on someone's back of saying this person can do this, this, this for you. But it's, like it's just feeling confident and safe within the community to like ask those questions that goes such a long way, And I mean, I still get scared to ask questions. Like I don't know all the answers. At 31, I definitely don't know all the answers. I don't know everything about dogs. I don't know everything there is to know about bearded collies. It's just like owning that and then just being okay that your people are going to show up and be like, hey, Anna, like think about it this way, or maybe you want to try this, or maybe you need to go talk to a poodle person about how to do XYZ, or go talk to a terrier person about how to do this. Like, there
Yeah.
are been times like I've learned how to groom beardies from people that don't even have my breed, because I pick up little things as I go. But I guess to tie it back to your original question, Lydia, of how do you find your people? It's finding people that are open, finding people that aren't going to make you feel dumb, that are just going to encourage you, be there, show up, and just be advocates for you.
As we've all seen, dog
Mhm.
shows are a family sport, or they at least are known as family sport. But obviously, we are seeing some issues arise in recent times of it maybe not being so family friendly. This can be just from different rules of, say, like stroller regulations, to people not being very friendly to kids, things like that.
Mhm.
Little things that maybe to one person don't seem like anything that's a big deal. And obviously, you grew up in the sport. Are there things that we could be doing to make it more family friendly, to make it?
We're all in this sport together, whether you're fierce competitors or you're besties going and just showing your cute pets on the weekend. Like, if we want this sport to survive, if we want the next generation to feel like they have a safe space, that they want to stay in this sport, and frankly, even if like people with families, we want families to continue in this sport and continue to make it a family friendly sport, like, you gotta be open. You gotta welcome people. It means a lot when you like work with families to figure out how best that they can still participate. I mean, that's definitely something that we've worked with West at Westminster about is, okay, so we have XYZ that we need to be careful of. How can we still make this work so our exhibitors have the best experience? I mean, nothing's going to be perfect, but frankly, the effort to make people feel included, to make them feel like, yes, I can bring my 5-year-old and they can sit and watch me show my dogs and they'll be okay. And I don't need to worry about, someone chasing them from the ring.
Absolutely. Obviously, Westminster does, I think, a really incredible job making it very accessible because, two, we have to think about part of the dog show community, whether it's people actively showing or not, is, say, owners of dogs that are just coming to watch their dog show who probably bring their families with them.
I feel like this all ties back into our first conversation of those little moments, whether it's someone saying, yes, walk this dog up to the ring, or yes, you can pet this dog that's been in this X pen. Those little moments have such an impact. So if you're, a little harsher than you mean to be with a family, or if a kid's being a little wild, or a wheelchair is in your way, just remember those little moments, that little, like,
Right. That person will remember it for the rest of their day.
people
Exactly.
remember this stuff,
Right.
So it's not like overthink, but like, look, like, hey, this isn't a good time, but come back in 10 minutes when I'm done showing. Or, I'm so
Absolutely.
sorry, do you mind, stepping away? Like, my beardy isn't great with kids, or the wheelchair, whatever. If you want to work with people, and if you want people to hear you and respect you and value your opinion, you have to learn how to interact with people. Treat others the way you want to be treated, right? It's the same thing. So maybe that's like the resounding theme we've got going on here, is that those little moments hold a huge, huge weight. It changes the collaboration in the sport. It changes the respect level in this sport, changes the safety in this sport.
Yeah.
Those little things.
I always think, like, if you see a kid that's looking at your dog and your dog is good with kids or doesn't care, like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter, like, they're done showing and, or like they're a short-coated breed and it doesn't matter about their hair. Like,
Yeah.
if you can just say to them, even offer it to them, if they want to touch the dog, they can. Like, whether they do or don't, them knowing that that's
And
okay, that they have permission to do that, that not only teaches them that they should have permission to do such a thing, but also that this is a fun space where they can have an opportunity to do something that makes their day, just makes the day. So I think you're so right with that. Everything.
When you go to these shows, it's just got to be part of your elevator speech. You just gotta.
when you enter that ring, when you enter your dog that weekend, you are also signing up to be a strong advocate for the sport as well. And
in that box too, my friends.
there should be a check next to that one.
You will be nice. You will be courteous.
You'll be a strong advocate for this.
And I think that comes down to some things, our core values at Show Safe, integrity, respect, safety, advocacy, and collaboration. We're really trying to build a safe community, a safe place here in the dog show world. And that's what makes it so important and makes having these conversations so important, because we want to find the best ways to how do we keep great places like dog shows alive, and how do we get people involved, and how do we make it known and make people feel good in these type of places. Obviously there's so much that we do for the dogs, and we also have to give to the people as well.
Very much.
I think that is just so important. Well, I can't thank you enough for talking to us today and getting into all of our feels about where we could see the sport going.
Especially for our youth as well. I don't know. I think that a lot of the times juniors are like, well, I have to become a handler if I want to do this. And then they see, handlers with, 25 dogs or 20 dogs. And they're like, I can't do that. Like, that's so hard on you. Or even as an assistant, you're like, I cannot keep this up like forever. Like that's difficult stuff. But it's like, there are other avenues. I think that they're just maybe not as accessible or not as known about, or people don't take the time to do the digging. It's just,
I mean, that's the other thing. Like, there are avenues, and you've seen this in college, I'm sure, as well. Like, there's so many things that you didn't even know you could do until
job for that.
Yeah, like what? I'll end it once again on Westminster. Like, the only reason I found out about Westminster as like a possible work opportunity is because I reached out to someone that was working at Westminster for a time at the time for an internship. I'm like, do you guys have internships? I don't know. You guys look like you'd be fun to work for. Can I do any free work? And they're like, actually, we have a job opening. And I'm like,
you work and get paid for it.
what? That's a thing? Like, I could do that.
I'm listening.
Yeah, tell me more, please. So, and there's so many fun things of like, I think I just saw, people are making their own way with now that we have social media, and you can kind of, again, choose your own adventure, whether it's entrepreneurship of promoting dog sports or having a PR agency that talks about dogs or working with dogs on movie sets. Like, I don't know, like, just gotta start Googling, or if you can't find it, make it up as you go,
Absolutely. I think those are such great points. And I think, again, like, the sky is really the limit here. There's so many things that are just being discovered or being created. And I mean, like content creators is now its whole own job with dogs. And that's its own thing. It may not be a full-time job, but it can certainly be a part-time thing. And even if you just do it just because you enjoy it, like, even better. Like, if you're putting positive things out into the world, even better.
Sounds great.
So cheers to that. Well, thank you, ladies. And thank you, Anna, so much for coming along and gabbing with us.
Ladies, thank you.
Thank you.
This is Leading the Pack by Show Safe.